Welcome again to this video clip series, My Journey to God, the Very Secularized World. We are going through right now the first meditation that Don Stefano Govi gave to more than 200 priests and more than 10 bishops at the International Annual Spiritual Exercises here in Italy, Colli Valenza. This is the first of 4 meditations that he gave in June 2003. And the title of this that you could also find on the internet with the title, The Woman Clothed with the Sun and the Red Dragon. We're talking here in the book of Revelation chapter 12. And so he continued, he said, "Come, Holy Spirit, on this cenacle, for this Our Lady has brought us here, in the name of the cenacle to prepare the second Pentecost." And now he arrives at the second theme of this meditation, which is called the Great Trial. He says, it is the time of the cenacle because the great trial has arrived. It is the time of the cenacle for us because John Paul II proclaimed the year of the Rosary. Why did not he proclaim it in 2000 or 2001 or 2002? In my circular letter I said, because for humanity and for the Church there has arrived the time of the great trial. The trial means suffering. It means a merciful punishment. The trial has come so that humanity might come out of the state in which it finds itself. Alone it cannot get back up if a great mercy does not lift it up. We have come to the time of the great trial, and for this the Pope proclaimed the year of the Rosary. He says it himself. He says at the Pope John Paul II writes in Rosarium Virginis Mariae, at the start of a millennium which began with the terrifying attacks of September 11, 2001, a millennium which witnesses every day in numerous parts of the world fresh scenes of bloodshed and violence. To rediscover the Rosary means to immerse oneself in contemplation in the mysteries of Christ, who is our peace. And another from the same encyclical, Pope John Paul II writes, the grave challenges confronting the world at the start of this new millennium lead us to think that only an intervention from on high, capable of guiding the hearts of those living in situations of conflict and those governing the destinies of nations, can give reason to hope for a brighter future. And then Don Stefano Govi continues to say, he says, the Blessed Virgin in her messages and the Pope in his exhortations says, with the Rosary you can affect all international events and change them. Pope John Paul II is especially concerned about the Church that is attacked from within and from without. The Pope uses as a historical event, on October 7th, 1571, there was a battle between the Muslims and the Christian forces, which were much smaller. Pope St. Pius V proclaimed a crusade, but not as in the Middle Ages with weapons, but with the Rosary. Due to this prayer, the victory was with the Christians. John Paul II, but does not mention the date, but the episode, to show us that we are living in similar events and that Christianity is threatened. And he writes, John Paul II writes again in his encyclic Rosarium Virginis Mariae, he says, the Church has always attributed particular efficacy to this prayer, entrusting to the Rosary, to its choral recitation, and to its constant practice, the most difficult problems. At times when Christianity itself seems under threat, its deliverance was attributed to the power of this prayer, and Our Lady of the Rosary was acclaimed as the one whose intercession brought salvation. And then Don Stefano Gobi continues, of course the Pope cannot order and do a rosary crusade. He would be laughed at, beginning with some clergymen. However, John Paul II proclaimed the year of the rosary with such force that surprises me. In all his documents, with his signature, he writes, 25th year of my pontificate, the year of the rosary. Has this year of the rosary been welcomed in the church? At the level of the bishops? With great simplicity, I asked the bishop, Don Stefano Gobi, he says, you spent a week at a conference of bishops. You discussed many things, politics, etc. Did not one of you say, we are in the year of the rosary? We will ask our communities to pray the rosary? Do you not see that there is a dissonance, a discrepancy between what the Pope says and proposes and how it is listened to and received in the Church? Today, during the Fraternity Hour, I want to read an article published on June 10th this year in the newspaper Corriere della Sera with the title, A Great Pope Who Loses Triumphantly All the Battles. The Pope is beginning to lose battles even in the Church when he is not followed. Will this year of the Rosary be effective on the events which await the Church and humanity? It will be effective to the extent that it has been put into practice. We must all do an examination of conscience. And he continues, the Pope proclaims the year of the Rosary because the great trial has come. What does this trial consist of? In a merciful punishment. The Lord has seldom punished us directly because he is love. In the Old Testament, he sent a punishment when the people turned away from him, that they might return to him. So God permits the punishment because through it humanity might return to him. He allows it in view of a greater good, but the punishment is constructed it builds humanity is constructed by building humanity with its own hands. Well, John Paul II in 2000 he said this, humanity now has instruments of unprecedented power. We could turn this world into a garden or reduce it to a pile of rubble. Today, as never before in the past, humanity stands at a crossroads, and once again, O Virgin Most Holy, salvation lies fully and uniquely in Jesus, your Son. He wrote that as an act of entrustment to Mary on October 8, 2000. And Gobi continues, he says, according to you, which path is humanity taking? Is it taking the path toward the garden or the one toward the pile of rubble? Humanity has totally drawn away from God, and it finds itself on the path which leads to the pile of rubble. It has become the victim of practical atheism, of materialism, of hedonism. In the place of God, it has built idols, a new golden calf that everyone adores, pleasure, entertainment. See how many young people go to church and how many in the discotheques. In other idols, money, pride, impurity, especially through the diabolical instrument of television. He has seduced all the nations of the earth. It comes to my mind the beast of the apocalypse, with which the cup of lust intoxicates all the nations of the earth. He continues, Don Stefano Gobi says, God is love. Far from God, humanity has become pagan, and it is a desert of love. This is the sufferings of us priests. We live in a world that is a desert of love. We must be witnesses of God's love. God is life. Far from God, humanity lives in the shadow of death, under the threat of death. Abortion was legalized in almost every country. There are millions of abortions. People lose awareness of the value of life. Every day there are murders and suicides. If you listen to the Italian news, they talk every day of murders, the lack of respect for the value of life. The shadow of death hangs over humanity. Wars that increasingly spread. We will continue in the next video clip. May God bless you and Mary guide you.